how to attach events to elements. So let's get started. So here we have, okay, I think that's big enough. So basically we have this HTML page. It's got header and it's got a body. In the body we have three things. We have section 1, section 2, and section 3, and it's what we have been working with pretty much so far. So now I'm gonna open it in live server. So open in live server, and right here, great, this is what we have. And let me just open the console log here. Great. So as you can see, I'm gonna just highlight that, actually make it a little bit bigger. Okay, that's fine. Great. So as you can see, we have section 1, section 2, section 3. We have a header in each section and 2 paragraphs, and then I added this button. We have this button. So as you can see right now, it's just a button, right? It's just this button here, and nothing basically happens with the button. Like I could click it, right? That's an event, nothing happens. And this is where we're gonna learn. So there are three kind of events, right? There are two major things to an event. One is called event listener. So we have event listener, and the other one is called event handler, or usually you just say listener or handler. So what you need to do is you need to listen for every event. There are many events you can do, but you need to listen first for an event, and then after you listen to it and the event actually happens, you need to handle that. You need to do something about that. So I'm basically gonna do that right now. So so there is 3 ways of adding this. Now the first way of adding it, let's here, and it's gonna be HTML. So boom. So the first way is adding. It's basically called inline event listener. You might guess what this means, right? The inline is like inline CSS, like my CSS right here. It's inline. It's gonna be the same thing. So we're gonna add a listener to this. Now there are many events you can listen for, and they all start with on. So if I say on right here, you see I could listen on all of this: on change, on click, on drag, on leave, on drop, like on input, on valid, on keyboard. Like I could go over and over. But what I want to do is I want to listen for on click. So then you assign, right? Now we said on click. But where do we listen to? You need to point at a handler. And I'm just gonna say breast right now. And that is all. Just save it. That's all I did right now. So if I refresh here, nothing basically happens, right? Remember we had 2-part event. So see, let me just do this again. So we had 2-part event, right? 2-part of events. And basically the first one, right? First one, just say the first one was listener, right? Listener. So it was event listener. The second part was handler. And if you can see right here, we're only listening for the event. So pressed happiness, it's like I said called pressed, but we don't have pressed. And actually this would show you. Now look at what, if I click, you get an error, right? Pressed is not defined. It doesn't know what pressed is. It doesn't know what to call. So now here's where we can add pressed. And here's I'm just gonna add a script in the file. So JavaScript right here. And all I need to define basically is a function, right? Something to be called. So just say function. It needs to be the same name. So pressed. Boom. Save that. And now I'm just gonna console log right here. Console log. And it's just gonna say I am pressed. So if I save now this should be called when I say click, and then this code should be run. So let's go here. I need to refresh the page. Won't run this. I am pressed, right? You can click it as many times as you want, but you get the idea. Now we're able to attach it right here. This is great, except that there is one single problem, right? So this is done. Okay, let's just say, right, we did the first way, we attached it. There is a problem, and the problem is it's the inline part of it. Imagine if you had something like the cards I was talking about, right? Now every time I click on this, I move somewhere, right? So imagine going to every single card and manually adding it, like literally going there and adding the on-click part to it. That's so hard, right? This was the first way to that people were able to do it. Now we're gonna get to the second part, which is a little bit better than that, but it still would need progress. So the second one is called property. So it's called basically, see, what is it called? It's another, say. So the second one would be listener properties, and the idea is basically you would have a property, you would add it as a property. So what do I mean by this? Let me just remove the script, and I'm gonna remove it right here, right? So now I just had the button, and let me go there. Now I will be able to use this. So now nothing happens. Now I have a button that is not clickable, right? It doesn't have an event, and I want to add it. I want to add it as a property, what I was talking about. So what we need to do is I need to get access to the button first. So I would use basically document, get element. I want to get it by tag name, yep, and button, and it's going to be the first one in the collection. So let's see if I have the button. I don't have the button, but it turns out the button is in the section. So actually, let me do that. Let me actually get the section first. I think that'd be easier. So section 3. It's going to be document dot get element by ID, and I get it by ID by saying what is it, section 3. So now I have section 3 right there. Close, but I need to remove this because it's an AD and you don't want to get it like that. Okay. Boom, I have it right here. So this is section 3, and the button is in here, so I should be able to basically call the thing I call button right there here, but instead of saying by element by, oh, I was looking for by name, it's by tag name. There you go. Oh, I could have done the best way anyway. It's not a function. Okay, so actually let me just go all the way back here. Yeah, sometimes when you're coding this happens. So instead of document, I'm just gonna access section 3, which you already have, and then basically say get element by tag name and then button. Let's see if I have the button. I have the whole collection, so I need to rerun again, get the first element, say button. Oh, finally. That was a lot of work. But you also can use like a query selector and then just specify the two things. Anyway, you can watch that video. So now we have access to the button, right? This is the button. So by adding as a property, what I mean is you basically define your handler. So I'm just gonna call it pressed again, and all it does is basically console log I am pressed. So that's all it does, and I need to close it. Great. So now if I call pressed, which is basically just a function, it just says pressed. So now what I can do is I can go to button and I can say on click. So this is the property aspect I was talking about, right? Now I can just assign it to something. So I want to assign it to pressed. Boom, I assign it to pressed. Now let me click on this. You see, it says I'm pressed. So that is the second way of adding it. Works, great. Now the second way is better. It's better in the way that I don't have to literally type in here. Whenever I want, I can get access to whatever element I want and just add it as a property. But that itself, right? So what was it? So I had this, but this one itself is a problem. And the problem is, you see how I say on click right here? That is the problem. What if I want something else, like button on mouse over, right? What if I want on mouse over? Now mouse over is kind of like hovering, so let's just say pressed. And now if I hover over it, you see it's getting pressed even though I didn't click it. So how would I basically do this? How would I say mouse over? How do I'm hard coding it, right? So the third way of doing it, and I'm really bad at names and I did not look after name before, but this one is basically add FN to listener. This one is called, yeah, it's called basically listeners. Yeah, it's called FN to listener. Something like that. Very close to that if it's not that. So the idea is, so this one is inline, this one has a property, and this one you add an event listener to it, and this is what I mean. So I'm just gonna refresh So now our page button is the same, right? We started from beginning, basically we don't have, so let me just clear host history right here, and let me get the button again, and now I'm gonna get it in like a new way just to make it a little bit fun. So I'm gonna use query selector, and I want to specify section. So it was section 3, and then I could say button. Okay, see what we have here. Ha, we don't have anything. Okay, that's pretty fun. Okay, let's see, let me just do this. But instead of saying query selector, I'm just gonna use the other one to make this process faster. So get element by tag name. Element is, I don't need, okay, never mind, element is by tag name, and it's gonna be button, and I want to get the first one, and I'm gonna save this actually so we don't always have to do that. Okay, great, I have the access to the button, so let's do this. So the second way of adding it is let me define our function called pressed. Okay, console log, it's gonna be pressed, and boom. Okay, so it's gonna be button, but before I added as, right, I said on click, right? Now you can add it as add event listener. So this is a method that you actually call, and the really cool part about this is now all I have to pass is two things. I pass the click that I want to listen to, so I want to listen to click. Now you just say click, and instead of on you forget the import, and then you pass the handler, so it would be pressed. So if I save that, let me click on this, press. You see it works. This is the latest and the best way of doing it. And the really cool part about this is, instead of, I already have clicked, so this one we have a click, but if I want something else, I could just change this. So I want to say mouse over. If I save that, now I just have over and it says pressed. So you can see how flexible this is. Instead of hard coding it, instead of saying button on click, right, or on cancel or on whatever, this is way more flexible because you can assign, you could have like, let's say you have, I don't know, like a list of events. So you could have like events, which is basically a list, and you got click, and you got mouse over, and you got like, what is it, scroll. Scroll would only work for the window, but that, you get the idea, right? You can have an event like this, just run over it, pass, and boom, you added 1,000 events. Yeah, that's the 3 ways that I was defining it. If I kind of go back to, we have the first one, which is like basically the inline is the keyword here, right? Because it's like inline CSS. The second part, this one, the keyword is the property, right? You do it as a property, you access the object, and then you say click. And then the last one is, I would say, like an event listener, right? Which you can kind of say like a method, because it's actually a method you call to add events. But you can also, this method add events, right? You can add as many events as you like, because I just did click, I just did mouse over. It works for both of them right here. Yeah, that's all for this video. See you in the next video. Bye bye.